The words were meant as a joke, tossed lightly into the air of a glittering corporate gala where crystal glasses clinked and egos shined brighter than the chandeliers. The CEO smiled as people laughed, confident and untouchable in his tailored suit, unaware that his careless challenge would soon expose a truth so powerful it would silence an entire room and change lives forever. No one noticed a janitor at the edge of the ballroom, quietly polishing the marble floor, except fate. Before the story continues, take a brief moment. If you believe in kindness quests, in second chances, and in the quiet power of humanity that hides in plain sight, please like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel. These stories live because people like you choose to believe they matter. The janitor's name was Daniel Whitaker, a Christian man in his early 40s living in the United States, whose life had narrowed into routines most people never questioned. Every evening after the office workers left, Daniel cleaned hallways, emptied bins, and wiped fingerprints from glass walls that framed a world he no longer belonged to. Years earlier, music had been his world. He had studied piano from childhood, raised by a mother who believed God spoke through discipline and melody. Daniel was gifted not just technically but emotionally, able to make people feel something deep and unexplainable through sound. For a time, his future seemed clear. That future ended the night his wife died in a sudden accident, taking with her their unborn child, and the center of Daniel's life. Grief hollowed him out. Music became unbearable, every note a reminder of what was lost. He sold his piano to pay medical bills and walked away from concerts, teaching, and dreams. Faith became quiet but persistent, like an ember refusing to die. When savings ran out, Daniel took the only job he could find quickly, janitorial work in a towering corporate headquarters downtown. Years passed. Daniel became invisible. Executives passed without a glance. Employees stepped around him as if he were part of the furniture. He accepted it with humility, believing there was purpose even in unseen work. What no one knew was that Daniel stayed late not just to clean, but to listen. In the main atrium stood a grand piano used for special events, its keys covered and silent most days. On rare nights when the building was empty, Daniel would lift the cover, sit down, and let his hands remember what his heart still feared. Those moments were his prayers. The gala was meant to celebrate record profits. The CEO, Jonathan Reeves, stood near the piano-holding court, surrounded by investors and executives. Wine loosened tongues. A discussion about art and refinement drifted toward music, and someone mentioned Chopin. Laughing, Jonathan made his offhand remark, daring anyone to play it properly, joking that such talent deserved proposal on the spot. The words landed softly among privilege, meant to impress, not to be answered. But Daniel heard them. He stood still, mop in hand, heart pounding. Something inside him shifted. He did not think about consequences or eyes watching. He thought about his mother, his wife, his faith, and the years he had bared himself to survive. With quiet resolve, he set his tools aside, walked toward the piano, and removed the cover. The room noticed too late. Conversations faltered as the janitor sat down. Some smiled uncomfortably, others frowned. Jonathan turned, irritation flickering before amusement. Daniel placed his hands on the keys, closed his eyes, and began. What followed was not performance. It was confession. Chopin flowed through the room with aching beauty, every note carrying grief, love, loss, and endurance. The music filled the vast space, climbing walls of glass and steel, softening faces hardened by power. People stopped breathing, without realizing it. Time slowed. The janitor disappeared, replaced by an artist speaking a language older than money. When the final note faded, silence held the room. No applause came at first, because no one knew how to break what had just happened. Jonathan Reeves stood frozen, his expression stripped of arrogance. In that moment, titles meant nothing. He saw not an employee, but a man who carried depth no balance sheet could measure. Daniel stood, nodded politely, and returned his card as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. The spell broke slowly. Applause rose, tentative at first, then overwhelming. Jonathan tried to speak, but words felt insufficient. The joke had died. Respect had taken its place. The days that followed changed Daniel's life in ways he never anticipated. Jonathan requested to meet him privately, not as a superior, but as a man humbled. Daniel shared his story without bitterness, explaining how loss reshaped him and how faith kept him standing when music nearly destroyed him. Jonathan listened, truly listened, for the first time in years. Opportunities opened, not charity, but recognition. Daniel was offered support to return to music on his own terms. He declined fame chasing, choosing instead to teach at community centers, offering lessons to children who could not afford them, believing music was a gift meant to heal, not elevate egos. Jonathan funded these programs quietly, changed by the encounter more than any boardroom victory. The janitor no longer cleaned floors, but he never forgot them. He visited his old co-workers, treated everyone with the dignity he once longed for. His faith deepened, rooted not in restoration success, but in understanding that God never wasted his suffering. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that hidden gifts still matter and unseen people still carry purpose, please like this video, share it, and engage with the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach those who need them most. Years later, Daniel performed Chopin again, not in a gala, but in a small church filled with families, children, and quiet hope. The applause was gentler, but the meaning was greater. He had found peace not in being seen, but in finally being himself again. Before the story ends, please comment below and share what moment moved you the most. Someone reading your words may feel less invisible tonight, because sometimes the most powerful response is not spoken at all, but played from a heart that never truly stopped believing.